Hello and welcome to the Finding Your Voice platform, where I'm aiming to connect everybody from throughout the world at a time of social disconnect, social distancing and global lockdown. Today, my ultra super awesome special guest today is Getrude Matshe. She is an inspirational, energetic and enlightening speaker who's been described as a vibrant bundle of African energy, whose zest and passion for life inspires absolutely everyone that she meets. Her aim in life is to be incredibly passionate about helping people to achieve their full potential and to find their individual life purpose. And this is probably a time where there's a lot of people questioning exactly why they are here and what is going on. Getrude has written several books and is actually launching her newest book called Ubuntu Leadership this year. So do keep a lookout for that. She immigrated to New Zealand from Zimbabwe in 2001. She came to the country with absolutely nothing and has since founded 4 incredible companies. She founded Zimzizani, which is a talent agency catering for the film and advertising industry. She founded GM Global Investments Limited. She founded Medical Recruiters of New Zealand Limited, and how we met was through Getrude being the founder and global curator of the Her Story Circle and the Her Story Women's Global Empowerment Conferences that started in 2019. Getrude, wow, what a bio. I can't believe that. You are one of the most amazing, inspirational, motivational people that I've ever met in my life, and I'm so excited. If I could jump up and down with joy, I would. I'm just so excited to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for the invitation, and hi to everybody out there who's listening.
Yeah. Getrude, you have had an incredibly colorful life. You have come from a place of adversity, and you have absolutely taken every single one of life's challenges, obstacles, successes and everything, and you have made the absolute best out of every possible bad situation that you have ever been in. Please, can you just embellish on that? Can you just tell us just a little bit more about it so that all the people who are viewing the video are able to really understand the quality of person that they are now listening to?
Where do I begin? I grew up in Zimbabwe. I have had a life full of challenges. For some reason, my soul incarnated and decided to go on a roller coaster ride. I was saying to my kids on Sunday, we are now more connected than we were before. I'd normally talk to my 3 kids during the week, maybe once or twice. One of them will pop in and just check in and say, "Mom, how are you doing?" My boys are not that communicative, maybe every 2 weeks, 3 weeks if I'm lucky. But since all of this happened, I get to talk to them almost every single day. And now every Sunday, we have a group call. My son and his partner in Auckland. My youngest son lives with his dad in Rotorua. My daughter lives in Melbourne with her husband. And we get on a conference call like this every Sunday, and we talk, and we have never been more connected because of what's happened. And I was saying to them this Sunday, by the time I'm 80, I'll probably have lived through a few pandemics similar to this.
Yeah.
Growing up in sub-Saharan Africa, the AIDS pandemic hit Zimbabwe when I was about 17 years old. And at the age of 17, I started to see friends of mine that I was in high school with dying of AIDS. And we lived through a time where your personal sexual choices dictated whether you lived or died. And there was a lot of recklessness, young kids not really taking the heed of the warning seriously. I mean, we've been seeing it with COVID-19. How youngsters think that this is going to attack only adults, it's not going to affect them, but they forget that they could come home and they'll be fine, but they're a carrier and they'll pass it on to someone else.
Yeah.
And so when I look at all of the ups and downs in my life, I reflect back, and this is like one of the most rock bottom moments for me right now. I was sharing with you earlier that my mother is ill in Zimbabwe, in a country right now where they're saying there's only 3 or 4 cases. We know there's hundreds because there are no test kits in sub-Saharan Africa. Most countries are not recording, they're not testing. And for my mother to be in hospital for 5 days in an environment where sick people are coming in all the time. She had pneumonia to top all of this up. On Friday last week, my sister, my brother in Canada, and I had to get on a conference call and make a decision whether they resuscitate her if she goes into cardiac. And I was due to go home on Saturday because my dad died 2 years ago. Mom's been ill ever since. But she pulled through. I mean, I had in my mind been to her funeral. I had accepted that she might die without my being there. But the reason why I'm sharing this, Laura, is that there's a lot of people right now who've lost their jobs, they've lost their income, they're not sure how they're going to get by. But we're living in New Zealand. We're a country that has less than 600 cases. When you look at the world right now, we're probably in one of the best countries in the world to be in for a number of reasons. One, we have a government that cares, that has responded and reacted so fast in taking in the measures to protect their community and their society. We live in a country where there is a social welfare system, where nobody's going to go hungry during this time. There will be help out there at whatever level to help every single citizen in New Zealand. But it reminds me of where I'm from. And I've been sitting here thinking, why did the universe throw me so far away from Africa to survive yet another pandemic? And I think I've kind of figured it out because I was born to be a storyteller. And what you're doing with this series is really a sharing of stories. We change the world through our stories. Since I got to New Zealand, I've been sharing my story, my work in Africa, helping out communities and children who have been affected by the AIDS pandemic. And my storytelling has become a contrast that people can look at and experience my life through my story and realize how lucky they are to be living in New Zealand, to be in a country that has the support, that has a social welfare system. So when you asked me to join your interviews, I said yes for that reason, because people are hurting right now, people are confused. And I think we just have to remember to take this crisis one day at a time.
Yeah.
Not think too far ahead, because if we think too far ahead, we go into stress and anxiety, and we start focusing on things that may or may not happen. So that's where I'm at with all of this. I feel blessed that we have this tool called the internet where we can reach each other from a distance. Imagine if this had happened 20 years ago, there would be no communication link like this.
Yeah.
We can have these face-to-face conversations, and we can still connect with family in a small way. So it's going to be an interesting time, and we all have to remember that it starts at home with your immediate family, just making sure and checking in with everybody every single day, how they're doing, how they're feeling. Then it extends to your community. I've lived in this house for almost 20 years. And for 20 years, I do not know any of my neighbors except the guy who sold me the house, who lives next door.
Yeah.
I grew up in a society where there were people who cared. In my hometown, our street had probably 50, maybe 60 houses. But growing up, I knew every single family's name. I knew the father, the mother, the children, the grandfathers, the uncles, the aunts. And I knew them by name. And then I moved to New Zealand, and I don't know anyone here. But one of my neighbors put a letter in our mailbox the other day and started a Facebook group for Cypress Drive. They started a WhatsApp group, and they reached out to everybody saying, look, if you're not feeling well, if you need somebody to pick up some groceries for you, let's connect as a community. And there's a woman who's disabled who lives about 3 houses away from me, put a post in the Facebook group asking if anybody had any ideas on how she could entertain her little active 3-year-old boy. And so I reached out to her, and I thought that I could go around and help her maybe clean the house or do her ironing and laundry or whatever I could do, but we can't go into each other's houses. So she had to decline. And then I came up with an idea that as from today, this afternoon, I'm going to start reading African stories to the children. And I posted that in the group. I've now got about 6 families who have little kids who want to participate, and I'm going to personalize it. And I'll just come online for an hour every day and entertain the kids and read these African stories and talk to them and find out who they are. And so that's something that I can do from my home. But what it's done is it's taking the focus away from me. When we're in this state, everything is about you and the stress you're going through. But if you can do something to alleviate somebody else's pain, somebody else's suffering, that's where the difference lies. So try and do that if you can.
And I think that, you mentioned that it starts in your house, and then from there on, it moves out into the community. Once COVID has run its course, everybody is going to know everybody on your street who was part of that group. You can take it from there. We're thinking one day at a time, but if we allow ourselves just for a minute just to think about what could the future look like. In the future, your entire street is now connected. So in some really messed up way, COVID has brought your street together. And so after 20 years of living there, you've now got something that you're connecting with other people on. And I think that is the beauty behind COVID, if there is a beauty.
There is a gift in everything. My grandmother used to say that every single life challenge or every single day comes with a blessing or a teaching.
Yeah.
There is something we're supposed to learn from this virus, and Mother Earth is teaching us. The philosophy that I live by, and you know this philosophy because you're from Southern Africa, is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is our way of explaining the condition of being human, that we are one. There is no you, there is no me, there's only we. And if we think of the human race as the human body, my grandmother would say that if you cut your finger and you start to bleed, in a week's time, your white blood cells will rush to that point to heal it. You can't even see the scar after a week. And that's how we should be responding to each other in the world. Imagine if the 7 billion people on this planet heard that there's an earthquake in Haiti, and we had to restore that country, and we each donated $1. It could be done in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And we can see it happening now with how the Chinese are now in Italy. The Cuban doctors have gone to Italy to help. The response is already coming. They've gone through this experience in China. They've amassed a lot of research. They've done the autopsies on these bodies. They understand this virus more than any other population on the planet. And now they're in Italy helping out the Italians. There's the beauty in what's happened. We are so connected that we are disconnected as a race.
Yeah.
And this virus is here to teach us to reconnect. There's a lot of learnings that are going to come out of this. The superpowers that are out there, America has been touting that they are the most advanced nation on the planet. Look at the mess they're in now. The reality of their situation is being highlighted by their lack of being able to react and respond to this. But, when the tsunami hit in Indonesia a few years ago, I was extremely stressed out in having to witness that because I was living in New Zealand. That was 2004, I think. And I remember watching 250,000 people being wiped out in one day by Mother Nature. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's very spiritual, who lives in London. And I said, I don't get this. I do not understand this. If there is a God out there, why would he choose to kill 250,000 people in the blink of an eye? And she said to me, Gertrude, you have to look at this on a cosmic level and remove yourself from the suffering and watch it from above. She said it affected every single person on this planet, and the empathy and compassion that went out into the cosmos because of how we were all feeling was perfect. And it happened for that reason. And she said that every single soul who died in that tsunami died to make that happen, to release the compassion and the empathy the world was missing. And now we have another natural disaster, and we are all feeling it. We are all being impacted. And every single soul that's going to die in this pandemic came to share this as part of their life purpose. They came to die for us, to remember to reconnect with our families. They came to die for us to remember to connect with our communities. They came to die for us to reconnect and know that we are one. So there's so many ways to understand what is happening right now and to come to terms with it. There's so many layers to this. And every single morning I wake up and I try and tune in and try and get what else is there to this virus that I'm supposed to learn. And there's a lot of learnings. And
it's our responsibility as the ones who aren't directly affected by COVID to really look inside ourselves and do exactly what you're doing, going, what is it that I'm to learn from this? How can I help? How can I serve? How can I take on your philosophy of Ubuntu? How can I make the absolute very best out of this situation without thinking too far ahead, because we don't know. It's an empty crevasse. We've got a dark one, at there. We've got no idea how deep it goes or how far it extends. But if we were to just do that one day at a time, then we are doing the best that we can with how and what we know at this time to hopefully be able to come out of this as a more united, more connected human race, as opposed to one that is trying to strike wars with each other and worrying about little skirmishes and bombing people. That is so not important right now, is it?
Yeah. It's all become very irrelevant, when you think of all of the disasters, the wars, things that have been going on around the world. We don't even see any of that in the news anymore. The focus is on COVID-19. It's incredible.
Yeah. And the same, I've also found that, people aren't selling you as much. They're not trying to trick you into buying things and giving you free subscriptions and then nailing you for a whole bunch of money. And, and it also kind of helps me to really reevaluate the amount of exorbitant prices that some people were actually able to charge because that was what everybody else was charging. It's like Auckland house prices, suddenly your little 2-bedroom house at $800,000, it's like, it's not worth it anymore. Like our value, we've had like a shift in our values mindset, if you like. We don't value that anymore, but we value this, and actually our family is more important. And we need enough money just to get by. It's not like I think I'm speaking for myself as well. It's not about making yourself better at the expense of other people anymore. It's more like, hey, I want to get myself better. I want to get myself through this. How do I help you to do the same? How do I do this with you together, which is Ubuntu, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. I was having a conversation with one of my groups in Melbourne day before yesterday. And, her story is bringing on board men to speak as well.
Yeah.
Because there is a need for the yin and the yang to start working together. So we've invited 25% men to come and speak at the Her Story conferences globally. And this man shared a story of how he was an executive. He was earning well over 500,000 a year, and he's just lost his job.
Mm.
And he said, I have been so stressed out trying to think, how am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to feed my kids? And he got himself a job in a supermarket packing groceries the other day. And he said to me, Gertrude, I am so eternally grateful for that job. He said, I put my pride aside that I was this top executive earning more than $500,000 a year. What is important for me right now is that I get to feed my kids.
Yeah.
And if it means that I do it with $20 an hour, that's what I'm going to do.
Mm.
It reminded me of my father. I grew up in Rhodesia, in an apartheid world where blacks and whites doesn't mix. My dad came back from the UK, having trained as a chartered accountant, trying to get a white-collar job. He couldn't. My father worked in a chicken slaughtering factory, killing chickens for 5 years until Zimbabwe got its independence. He could not be employed as a chartered accountant despite all of the degrees that he had studied for. But he had 5 kids to put through school. We were in private school, and he did what he had to do. And I think this is something that everybody has to think about right now as well.
Yeah.
As we are trying to reinvent ourselves, trying to reinvent our incomes. I mean, I had just launched a business that literally was wiped out overnight.
Mm.
You know, I launched the Her Story conference last year in July. I had curated 10 successful conferences globally, and just overnight, it has all gone. And I've had to sit back and look at my strengths and see, what do I have? I sit every morning and I write down 10 things that I am grateful for. I write down 10 things in the morning and 10 things in the evening that I can focus on, and gratitude is what is getting me through. And the other day, through my meditation, I realized that I can fall back on my past skills. I used to have a recruiting agency for health workers. And for some bizarre reason, Laura, I have kept my databases since 2013. And I went back into those databases. I started reaching out to doctors. New Zealand is going to need a lot of health professionals, doctors and nurses. I have just got my first doctor this week who, if I place him, I could make $10,000 to $15,000. And it's a skill that I've always had. It's a business I put aside because we had gone through quite a few challenges with that business, with the DHBs not paying us as recruiting companies. And now, through this crisis, an opportunity has shown up. And I still have all the knowledge on how to place doctors. I have all of those skills. I did it for over 15 years. So I'm recreating my recruiting business.
Yeah.
Because for now, that's what I have to do to be able to help my husband pay the bills.
Yeah.
So we're all reinventing ourselves. Go back to things you've done before. Find creative ways to tap back into those past strengths and find a way to ride this wave and try to exist between now and when the world opens up again. We don't know how long this thing is going to go for. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 15 years. We don't know.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to reinvent yourself. And then I came up with another idea that I could keep all of the people that I had connected with through the Her Story conferences online. So we're having our first virtual Her Story 1.0 conference, where, like you, I'm getting people to contribute a 5-minute story of inspiration that they can share online. So we're starting on the 1st of April, and every single hour, we're going to be pushing out a story from one of the women from our community to share. And that's going to keep us motivated, it's going to keep us connected, and the inspiration keeps spreading. So I'm excited. There's some amazing things coming. And it's just taking it one person at a time, one day at a time. And through what you're doing, if you can change and touch one person with this video today, who will contact you a year from now and say, you know what, Laura, I tuned into what you did. I love the sharing of the stories you were sharing. Thank you. It really helped me reframe where I was on that given day.
Mm.
Thank you for stepping up and doing what you're doing.
Mm.
This is powerful work you're doing. You didn't come upon this idea by mistake. These inspirations come through the ether. I can bet you there are 5, 6, 10 other people around the world who thought the same thing, got into their ego minds and thought, who am I to start this? What will people think? What will people say? I don't have enough influence. Your influence will come with every single person who hears this video, who shares it, who tells somebody else about you, and helps spread your mission and your intention behind this series. And that's what you have to focus on, just one person at a time. Because, you know, Laura, the ripple effect of the sharing of stories is this. In Africa, we believe that a problem shared is a problem halved. There could be somebody who's going to come on this call and share an issue, a problem they're going through. And just through the sharing, you have helped carry half of their pain. They're not carrying it alone. It's now being carried by every single person who will listen to their video. So just by us listening to each other, we're already making an impact. How beautiful is that?
I love that. It gives me that.
Who doesn't have family. Sorry to cut you off. There could be somebody who doesn't have family and hasn't been able to authentically talk to someone, or someone who does have family and doesn't want to stress out her kids or her husband by sharing with him. They could come onto your platform and just share one little story of what they're going through in this moment in time. And that takes a whole lot of pressure off them.
Yeah.
Because you're listening with no judgment. You're listening with no expectation. You're just here to listen to us. What a gift is that you're giving each and every single person who's connecting with you. It's powerful work you're doing, and the inspiration that dropped in your heart and in your mind for you to do this, that should be your intention to keep going forwards. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all of us who are connecting through you.
Thank you. Well, you just make my heart just feel so full, and you just, you know, you're like the wind beneath my wings right now, Gertrude, because I tell you what, it has, like we spoke about earlier, it has been a little bit challenging for me. And I did actually think about doing a video, and I just haven't quite got around to it. But, you know, just, you're just being so open and just so transparent and just so, you know, like I said at the start with your bio, you're just so passionate about everything that you speak about. You know, you have got lived experience with every single word that has come out of your mouth today. And I think that anybody who has listened to what you've said today, even while you were talking to me, they could relate that to themselves, and they can just feel like they can stand up just a little bit taller, and that they can face just one more day. And if that's like you say, if that is what we're doing to help people out there right now, when, you know, you and I are potentially, you know, still feeling emotional and we're still feeling challenged, but we're stepping up there and we're doing it anyway. You know, we're getting out there because we feel drawn to doing that. So if everybody else could start to gain momentum and not get too stuck and not get too isolated within their own mind, you know, and can actually just go, you know what, just today I'm just going to open up the curtain just a little crack, and I'm just going to look through it and just let a little bit of light through. Then I think between all of us, I think we're doing exactly what we're meant to do in these challenging times.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And I'm just hoping that if there's anybody out there who listens to this and this video recording makes your day, that's why I woke up this morning. And that's why I keep doing what I'm doing. That's why you keep doing what you're doing. And if you go into any doubt as to why am I doing this, that's just your ego talking. Our egos are there to protect us. They're there to make sure that we're safe. And you just have to acknowledge the fear and say, thank you, I hear you, but this is something I need to do right now. And just trust that the inspiration that dropped in your heart is your intention.
Yeah.
And you have to hold on to that and keep going.
Excellent.
So I want to finish off by just giving everybody a little tool. Ubuntu is known as Linux operating system. A lot of people know the Linux operating system. So when you Google the word Ubuntu, it's spelled U-B-U-N-T-U. Linux pops up. But the Linux operating system is based on this African philosophy that says, I am because you are. That there is no you, there is no me, there's only we. The easiest way to install this Ubuntu operating system is this. Put your family first. It's your husband, it's your wife, it's your spouse, it's your children, it's your significant other, the people in your immediate environment, in the house where you're living now. Extend it to your family. And by that, I mean your extended family, wherever they are in the world. Then go out to your community. Your community is next. That's number 2. There's a lot of elderly people in our environments. You might know somebody who lives 3, 4, 5 houses down. You can just go and drop a note in their letterbox and say, hi, I'm doing my shopping every Tuesday. If there's anything you need and you want me to pick up anything, I can just drop it at the door. Let me know what that is and help out in that way. And then if you can do something to help out somewhere else in the world, do a little something. One of the things that I started doing, I have a cupboard full of fabric, and I've been hearing about the shortage of masks for health workers.
Yeah.
And I know New Zealand is not at that point yet, but I went out before all of the shops locked down. I bought over 200 meters of elastics, and I'm going to start making masks and just stockpile them and give them away. So I could make a difference by putting a bunch of 1,000 masks and mail them to a hospital somewhere that needs them. That's the difference that I can do from here right now. Yeah. That's all I can do. But I have the energy, I have the skills, and I can give back in that way. Yeah. And there's a lot of free videos online. I actually found a video from a hospital in the US that was asking for masks, on how to make them. The pattern is there. Everything has been provided. So if anybody out there has a sewing machine and you want to get access to that pattern, inbox me. I'm happy to share it. So thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you so much, Getrude. Anybody who's been inspired by anything that our beautiful guest, Getrude Matshe, has said today, now we can get hold of you on your Facebook, which is, we have to go at, and then we have to go Getrude, Getrude, dot, and then your surname, Matshe, dot, and the number 7. And we can also get through to you on your website. And I just want to get you just to repeat that. Was it herstorycircle.com?
Storycircle.com.
Herstorycircle.com. They would be the 2 main ways. Now, you've also, and you haven't said it because you're so humble, you've also done quite a few TED Talks. If we were to look on the TED Talk platform to find out more about your Ubuntu Talks, we can obviously search you on there as well.
Yes, and the other 2, so there's one on the main TED platform. The other 2 are on YouTube because they haven't got to the TED's main platform. I only did them last year. Yeah. But it's a series of 3 TED Talks that talk about Ubuntu. And the second one is very significant. I did that in upstate New York. And for some inspired reason, I talked about situations like this. Oh, but it's almost as if the universe had me prepare that speech so it could go out to the universe in some way. But I focused on us reacting and responding to each other like we are an organism, that we are one. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm also going to be speaking at the Auckland Women's Leadership Institute conference in August, if everything goes well. And I'm now working on my Ubuntu Leadership book. So I'm using this time to go back to my writing.
Yeah.
I'm writing a children's book. I'm finishing off this Ubuntu Leadership book. So some magical things are happening when you're given the time. It gave me back time. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Gertrude, thank you so much for coming on board. I can't wait to get the story out to the world. I'm so humbled to be in the presence of you and for all your incredible words of wisdom. So thank you so very, very much, right from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Laura. And everybody have a fantastic time. Enjoy the time that we have been given.
Thank you so
And
much.
remember that the breath we think we control and own is not ours. It is a gift. So when you wake up every morning and you breathe and breathe out for the first time, when you open your eyes, be grateful for that breath. Thank you, Laura.
I love that. Bye for now.
Bye.